Welcome to DarrenDaily On Demand, your most trusted resource to help you become better every day. Today's episode is another special recap of this week's DarrenDaily Mentor Sessions. This dynamic recap was generated entirely by AI and features two hosts discussing the key principles and takeaways from the previous 5 Workday episodes of DarrenDaily. Now remember, if you aren't a member of the DarrenDaily community to receive every morning delivery of brand new episodes of DarrenDaily straight to your inbox, you can join over at DarrenDaily.com/join. Let's dive into the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So this time you sent over 5 episodes of DarrenDaily.
Okay, yeah.
And we're going to try to unpack all the stuff about living a happier life and becoming a master negotiator.
Sounds good.
I got to say, some of this stuff really surprised me.
I know, right? It's super interesting how he kind of brings together these two things.
Yeah.
Happiness and negotiation.
Right.
I feel like they're not always seen together. He does it in a way that makes total sense.
Yeah. So to start things off,
okay,
the first episode tells this story of Ken Behring, this entrepreneur who I think at one point owned the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
This guy had everything, wealth, possessions, you name it.
The dream, right?
But here's the thing.
What's that?
He wasn't actually happy.
Oh, wow.
And the episode goes on to explain Behring's 4 phases of life framework.
Okay.
He talks about how most people spend their lives just chasing stuff, right? First it's getting things, then it's getting bigger, better things. Then it's chasing new experiences.
Yeah, totally.
But it's not until phase 4 where you find purpose through serving others that true fulfillment kicks in.
And it's so interesting because Behring didn't actually reach that phase until later in life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he kind of warns that a lot of people don't even start thinking about purpose until they're facing their own mortality.
Mortality, yeah.
It's like a wake-up call for all of us to think about what really matters, no matter where we are in life right now.
It's a little bit whoa.
Yeah.
But the episode isn't all doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
It also gives us 3 questions to help us figure out our own path to phase 4 happiness.
Right, I like it.
And they're so simple.
Okay, what are they?
Who are you passionate about helping? What's your big why behind that passion?
Okay.
And what kind of happiness does it bring you when you're helping others?
Wow. Yeah, those are really powerful questions.
Yeah, they really got me thinking.
It's like shifting that focus from what we can get to what we can give.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the negotiation part comes in.
Okay.
Because if you understand how to negotiate well, you can create those win-win situations where you're contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Right.
But you're also achieving your own goals.
Awesome. So let's dive into those next 4 DarrenDaily episodes.
Okay.
Which are all about becoming a master negotiator.
Right.
And the first thing that really struck me was that we are negotiating all the time.
Well,
even when we don't realize it.
Absolutely. Think about it.
Yeah.
You're negotiating with your kids to get them to do chores. Negotiating with your partner about what to eat for dinner.
Right.
Negotiating with your boss for a raise.
Yes.
It's constantly happening.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Darren Hardy emphasizes that negotiation isn't about manipulation or trying to win at all costs.
Right.
It's about understanding what the other person wants.
Okay.
Their win.
Yeah.
And figuring out how what you have can help them achieve it.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah. But how do you figure out what the other person actually wants?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And that's where Darren Hardy's 3 strategies come in.
Okay, tell me more.
He suggests asking questions.
Okay.
To uncover the other person's motives and desires, putting yourself in their shoes, doing your homework.
All right.
To gather information about their situation.
So it's all about empathy and preparation.
Yes.
It's going beyond just those surface level assumptions.
Yeah.
And really trying to understand their needs and motivations.
It's like being a detective.
I love that analogy.
Right. You're gathering clues to figure out what makes them tick.
Exactly. And once you have a good understanding of their win, then you can start to brainstorm ways to create a solution that benefits both of you.
Yeah. Now, on top of these 3 strategies, Darren Hardy also lays out 6 super practical negotiation tips.
Okay, bring them on.
The first one is patience.
Okay.
And he really stresses how crucial this is.
Yeah.
He even shares a story about how his own impatience cost him a lot of money.
Oh, no.
Early in his career.
Ouch.
It's a reminder that rushing into a deal often leads to bad decisions.
Right. It's better to wait for the right deal than to settle for a less favorable one just because you're in a hurry.
Right. And that leads us to tip number 2.
Okay.
Emotional distance.
Interesting.
Now, this one might sound a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But Hardy argues that it's essential to detach yourself emotionally from the outcome of the negotiation.
I see. So if you get too invested, you're more likely to maybe make concessions that you regret.
Right. Or hold on to a position even when it's not serving you.
Right. It's about staying cool, calm, and collected.
Yes.
Even when things get a little heated.
Which brings us to tip number 3, setting the right stage.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of location, timing, and making sure you're talking to the right person.
Makes sense. You don't want to be wasting time negotiating with someone who can't actually make a decision.
Exactly. And the environment can play a big role, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, imagine trying to negotiate a raise in a crowded, noisy hallway versus, like, a quiet, comfortable office.
Totally different vibe.
Right. It makes a difference.
It's all about creating an atmosphere that's good for open communication and productive discussion.
Okay. Are you ready for tip number 4?
Hit me with it.
This one's my favorite.
Okay.
Go big.
What?
Hardy actually advocates for asking for the moon.
Seriously?
Because even if you don't get it, you're more likely to land among the stars.
Kind of like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So he suggests coming to the table with a bunch of requests, some of which are your non-negotiables.
Like the things you absolutely have to have.
Exactly. And some of which are bogeys.
Bogeys? What are those?
Okay, so bogeys are basically concessions that you're willing to make that aren't actually that important to you.
Oh, I see.
But by offering them up, you tap into this psychological principle called reciprocity.
Interesting.
The other party feels like you're being generous.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to make concessions in return.
It's like a clever way to use psychology to your advantage.
Right.
To create a better outcome for both sides.
All right. 2 more tips to go.
Okay, I'm ready.
Tip number 5 is to keep trading value.
Right.
Don't give anything away without getting something in return.
Right.
It's about maintaining that balance.
Yeah.
And ensuring fairness throughout the negotiation.
I like it.
And finally, tip number 6 is to enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Negotiating.
Yeah, he's basically saying that approaching negotiation with a positive attitude and a willingness to collaborate can make the whole process more pleasant and productive.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, people are more likely to work with someone they like and trust.
For sure.
So smile, be engaging, and remember that you're both working towards a common goal.
Those are really good tips.
Yeah, and these 6 tips are a fantastic framework for approaching any negotiation, whether it's personal or professional.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more key insight from these DarrenDaily episodes that I want to touch on before we move on.
All right, let's hear it. It really struck me how he kept saying that negotiation is like an exchange of value.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Right.
But it really changes how you look at all those situations where you're trying to like reach some kind of agreement.
It makes you think about what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And what the other person sees as valuable.
Right. And it's not always about like money or things like that.
Exactly. Like it could be your expertise, your connections, your time, even just your ability to solve a problem for someone.
It's like everyone has something to offer.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening.
And this exchange of value idea.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond just those formal negotiations.
Totally.
Like, think about personal relationships. Yeah. Your family, friends, even strangers you interact with.
It's everywhere.
So, like, let's say I'm trying to get my kids to clean their rooms.
Okay, yeah.
It's not about me being, like, the parent and laying down the law.
Right.
It's about figuring out how to make it valuable for them.
Exactly. Like, maybe they get more say in how their space is organized.
Okay.
Or maybe a clean room means they can have friends over.
Oh, that's good.
We're always exchanging value, even if we don't realize it.
This is making me see everyday interactions like in a whole new light.
I know, right?
It's almost like negotiation becomes less about getting what I want and more about finding that outcome where everyone benefits.
It's a shift from that me versus you to a more collaborative us.
Yes.
And that can lead to stronger relationships and just a greater sense of fulfillment overall.
Yeah. Now, thinking back to those 3 questions from the first episode.
Okay. The ones about finding your purpose.
Yeah.
Those are so important because they help you define your own win.
Yeah.
The things that truly matter to you. And then you can kind of guide your actions based on that.
And when you combine that self-awareness with these negotiation strategies, it's like you're equipped with this toolkit for creating positive change.
It's about aligning your actions with your values.
Yes.
And using your skills to make a real impact.
This has been so insightful.
I agree.
I know we've covered a ton.
Yeah, we have.
But before we wrap up this deep dive on DarrenDaily, I want to circle back to one of the negotiation tips we talked about.
You mean Hardy's advice to go big and ask for the moon?
Yeah, that one really kind of threw me off at first.
Me too. It seemed counterintuitive.
But when you think about it, it's actually pretty brilliant.
It is.
The idea is that by starting with a more ambitious ask, you give yourself room to negotiate and reach a better outcome.
And the key is to do it strategically.
Yeah.
Like you need to know your non-negotiables.
Right. Those things you absolutely can't compromise on.
Exactly. And then you kind of surround them with those bogeys.
The bogeys.
Which are those concessions you're willing to make.
Right.
That aren't super important to you.
And those bogeys aren't about being deceitful or manipulative.
Right.
It's about leveraging that psychology of reciprocity.
Exactly. Like when you offer something, the other person feels like they should offer something back.
It's like that give and take where both parties feel like they're getting something out of the deal.
I get it.
Now I know this go a big strategy might feel intimidating.
Especially if you're not used to negotiating.
But think about it this way.
Okay, no.
What's the worst that could happen? They say no.
True.
And even if they do, you're still in a better position than if you started with a smaller ask.
You might be surprised by what you can achieve.
Totally.
If you're willing to aim high and negotiate strategically.
And that brings us back to the importance of emotional distance.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Don't get too attached to any specific outcome.
Right. If you can detach yourself emotionally, you'll make more rational decisions.
Yeah.
And stay focused on your goals.
Now, speaking of emotions, Darren Hardy also talks about those hard bargaining tactics.
Oh, yeah. Those can be tough.
You know, those aggressive or manipulative things that can really throw you off.
It's easy to get caught up in the emotions and react defensively.
Right. But Hardy emphasizes staying calm, focused, and not taking anything personally.
So what do you do instead?
He suggests that sometimes the best response is to just ignore them and redirect the conversation back to the issues.
Interesting.
It's like saying, I'm not going to play your game. I'm here to negotiate a fair agreement.
It's about setting boundaries and staying in control.
Now, I know this might all sound overwhelming.
That's a lot to take in.
Especially if you don't naturally enjoy negotiation.
Yeah.
But remember, it's a skill. You can develop it over time.
And the more you practice,
the
more confident you'll become.
And even if you don't see yourself as a master negotiator, understanding these basic principles can make a huge difference in your life.
Absolutely. It's about better communication, stronger relationships, win-win situations.
So let's bring it all back to you, the listener. Remember those 3 questions we talked about.
The ones about finding your purpose.
Yeah. Who you're passionate about helping.
Right. Those are the starting point.
They help you define your own win.
And guide your actions.
And once you have that clarity, you can use these negotiation strategies to overcome challenges, build relationships, achieve your goals.
Whatever those goals may be.
And remember, negotiation isn't just about those big formal agreements.
It's about every interaction where you're trying to reach some kind of understanding.
It's about communicating effectively, understanding perspectives, and finding solutions that benefit everyone.
Now, before we wrap up,
I
want to leave you with one final question. If negotiation is truly an exchange of value, what are some of the less obvious things you have to offer in your personal and professional life?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, think about it. Like, what are those hidden gems you have? Those skills, that knowledge, those experiences that might not be front and center, but could be super valuable to others.
It's like uncovering those hidden talents
Totally.
you didn't even know you had.
Maybe you're amazing at organizing.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're really good at explaining complex topics in a way that's easy to understand.
Or maybe you're a fantastic listener.
Yes, that's huge.
Right.
Like you make people feel heard. Don't underestimate those so-called soft skills.
They're so important.
They can be super valuable.
This is making me think about negotiation differently.
How's that?
It's not about being cutthroat or like winner takes all.
It's not a competition. It's more about...
It's about recognizing everyone's strengths. And creating something that benefits everyone.
It's about collaboration.
Exactly.
And that just feels so much better.
It's more enjoyable. More fulfilling.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into DarrenDaily, I want you to think about that question.
Yeah. What unique value do you bring to the table?
What problems can you solve?
What joy can you bring?
Don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Yeah, your value might not be something obvious.
Right.
It might emerge through those interactions with others.
Yeah.
Through sharing your unique perspective and talents.
And remember, negotiation is a skill.
It is.
Like anything else.
It takes practice.
You're not going to be perfect right away.
But the more you try,
the more confident you'll become.
don't be afraid to ask for what you want.
Yeah, stand up for your beliefs.
Advocate for yourself and others.
The world needs your unique voice.
And your valuable contributions.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through DarrenDaily.
It's been fun.
I hope this deep dive gave you some food for thought.
Yeah, some new perspectives.
And maybe inspired you to approach life with a renewed sense of purpose.
And a possibility.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Sounds good.
Until then, keep learning.
Keep growing.
And keep negotiating your way
to a happier and more fulfilling life.
That wraps up today's episode of DarrenDaily On Demand. We hope this special AI-powered recap gave you some valuable insights. If you're ready to continue leveling up and becoming better every day, make sure you join Darren Hardy and thousands of high achievers over on DarrenDaily. Visit DarrenDaily.com/join to get free daily mentoring that will keep you focused and moving forward. Thanks for listening.